Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, coming to you live with Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. And I'm not alone. I have a very special, one of my favorite people, Kym Insana, the president and founder of Always On Digital, with me. And I gave you guys a sneak peek at her success a couple of weeks ago. And she's here to talk about how the secrets to how she won a multi-million dollar RFP. Welcome, Kym.
Thank you, Shala. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us, first of all, what it is that you guys do.
So, we offer advertising solutions that help agencies and brands directly, mostly with their execution of media campaigns across all channels. But we also offer strategy as well for brands that may need a little bit extra, agency services.
So I actually already gave everyone a taste of your success. And by the way, cheers. Let's cheers on the Tuesday tea time. I hope you've got tea. So I was so happy and proud of the moment that you sealed that multi-million dollar deal. So tell me, first of all, how did the opportunity come up?
So one of our sales reps was doing his job and out there in the market, talking to folks, sharing our story and things that we do. And it came up that they were having an agency review. They were looking for a new partner to come in, and he said, you know what, those are all the things that we do already, and we do them well, and we can help you. And so we got put into the RFP process as a full agency with a number of other partners. And I think they had about 50 total between creative agencies as well as marketing agencies.
Wow, that's a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, so how long did it all take?
The entire process started around November, October last year, and then it went all the way through to final decision in end of January.
Wow. So that's quite a few months.
Yeah.
And so what did you do differently? And what could you share as secrets of success to having won such a huge competitive RFP?
So I think, you and I did a lot of work together in talking through what our story was and how we would approach it. And I knew we had all of the pieces and were confident in what we could do and we could do well. However, when you're only given a short amount of time in front of the client and in a pitch, or even, as they're looking at so many different partners and reviewing these RFP responses and RFI responses, what you say initially and it's your first impression is what matters the most. And I think that's where we were off the mark initially. And so as I had shared our deck and what we were going to go with, you had, nicely told me this is not good. And you got to scratch this because what we weren't doing, what we were missing was hitting their challenges first. And it's a mistake we all make when we want to talk about ourselves and talk about the companies that we're proud to represent. But we sometimes forget that we're supposed to really focus on the challenge that we're there to solve. And when we switched that around a little bit and went with that message first, I think that hit home and really opened up everyone's ears to listen to the rest of what we had to say.
I love that. Okay, so give us another success. Tell us how you started it. How did you
So
get their attention and trust right away?
So we started actually with our Phoenix Rising story, was one of the first things that we talked about. And it's important because it actually hit home on so many levels for them. The first level it hit home on was the fact that their previous partner had let them down in some ways by not paying attention to their campaign with human eyes. There was a lot of AI, and it's very easy to let AI take care of things, but sometimes when you take your hands off the wheel a little too long, things fall apart, and no one was catching those things. And that's one of the reasons why we actually started Always on Digital. Was one of two reasons. The second reason that we had started Always on Digital was to create a work-life balance for mothers and parents. And now it's evolved to parents, but at the time it was working mothers, and that also hit home because some of the folks on the team there had been at big agencies and bigger companies where they were told family time is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then everything outside of that's work. You're expected to work back at 8 o'clock. You're expected to be here. So they understood that happy employees really had better performance. They were more loyal to the company. They're going to make sure everything works when they're happy. And people's happiness really does drive outcomes. If you have disgruntled employees, it's not going to benefit your business at all. And so those two things really did resonate with them. And then the next thing we went into right after that story was the challenges that we solved, which were similar to their own. And so how we've helped other advertisers like them solve these problems instead of just kind of spinning up what we do, what we offer, where we run, and things like that.
That's great. So, what's really at the crux of the biggest secret of winning RFPs in terms of figuring out the pain?
Yeah, it is. So figuring out their pain can be very simple. Of asking questions, asking them what their pain is, and can you tell us about your relationships in the past and what has been great and what hasn't been so great, or where do you feel that you want to see things going? What is your vision to improve? Whatever it is that your goals are for this year. So are you looking to drive more visitors? Are you looking to drive more sales? And how do you feel like you're going to do that? What do you think you need to do that? And sometimes they don't always know the things they need to get there, but they know they want to get there. And
Yeah.
maybe you have those ideas and can try to guide them through that.
Yeah, and I remember forever like trying to get you to give them less of the how, but
Hmm.
you knew exactly how much to give. And like maybe together we came up with the midpoint because I wanted you to give almost nothing, and you
Hmm.
wanted to a lot. And I was like, no, I don't want them to take what you're giving them and then give it to the incumbent or somebody else, or even
Yeah.
decide to internally, because I've seen that happen too. What other things did you change in this uh, RFP from the past in the ones that you lost? Like how about social proof? Like how did you bake in proof of success?
So I think we did go strong with case studies, and
Mhm.
we have used them before, but I think we were a little more aggressive in matching exact things and sharing numbers in a better way. And sometimes it's really hard to get permission to share those numbers, and you have to be cautious about how you do it, but be creative in your story. And sometimes the case study is not necessarily they saw an increase in ROI, or they saw, maybe your case study is about they spent 2 years working with you and they haven't left and they're an existing client still, or they've given you a testimonial saying that you are the most transparent person that they've worked with. Like that shows your ethics and your honesty if people are talking about that. Like, so using your current clients in a way to get new clients that makes everybody comfortable. They don't feel like they are going to be competitive with what you have now. And we were pretty clear on that. And those boundaries that, one thing is not going to cannibalize the other, and making sure that we had clear delineation of that, and being purposeful of when you go after a client that it's specifically so that they know that they are going to get that attention, and those are things that were important to us and important to them as
Yeah.
well.
So here's some of the things that I'm hearing you say. One, you got into dialogue with them. And oftentimes, once an RFP is issued, it's submitted, like you're not even allowed to talk to them.
Yes.
But you have to have the targets in your crosshairs so that you actually get in front of the decision makers way before that. Do not talk to us, period begins. And you mind them for their biggest pain points, right? And
Yeah.
then you matched your case studies to their exact same pain points, each one that they were concerned about and they were firing the incumbent for.
Yeah.
So that's exactly why you need to meet with them right before, right?
Yes, absolutely. And having the information, and sometimes reading between the lines. And we spent hours going through this RFP because there was just little things that we thought, wow, that seems odd that they would put that in there. Like, what do we think that means? And, that's when we started, you start to think outside the box. Like, it seems like they've been burned. The way they're, talking about certain things feels like somebody took the hands off the wheel. And so speaking to those things, but in a truthful way, like those are all features that we, feature, products or features or things that we have. This is all real life. But sometimes we don't think of matching those things, and we just spew off what the elevator pitches or what we think people want to hear. But there could be some little thing that your company does or offers that matches so well to their pain point. Just focus on that and not all the other noise.
Were there things that you found out from talking to them that were not in the, if you had just read it, would not have been there?
Um, I think initially we knew that, kind of an idea of where their budgets are and what they would be able to, um, like they were looking at some bigger agencies and maybe just didn't think that they had the budget for some of that stuff, for huge holding companies. But we understood they wanted some of the bells and whistles that were offered. So we made sure, that we could match some of those capabilities, in house for them without having to make them feel like, they needed to be even bigger than they were. Like their size is perfect. They don't have to feel that, they're the little one that gets the lower level, service agreement kind of thing.
I love it because that's a huge concern for smaller companies like
Mhm.
ours, where I hear that all the time. I'm losing it to the bigger guys. The
Yeah.
guy inside is already bigger. How am I going to kick out the big guy? Right. So, to that end, it's absolutely possible based on what you're saying.
Yeah.
And what about like at the end or throughout? Did you get a sense of what you did differently or better than all the other RFPs that they looked at?
They shared a little. I think they said, we hit on what their challenges are, but meeting us, and a lot of us went in person. We didn't do it where we just brought the pitch people. We brought the everyday folks because there is, sometimes you have somebody that sells you something and that's great. And you love that salesperson and you think they're fantastic. And then they pass off your account to someone else. And now your level of service declines. And so for them, being able to, see, feel, and touch the actual people that would work day to day on their account was important because they needed to feel like the quality was going to be the same from the top down. And there wasn't going to be, this, okay, well, now we're going to just give you a junior person that just started last week and really doesn't know what's going on here yet. And, kind of sorry, but we already won your account. We've got your money and now we're going to, move on. They needed to feel that we were going to be committed. And, certain things matter to people and maybe you just don't, you take it for granted and think we're going to do those things anyway, but it's important to mention whether it be, what are the means of communication, what are the calls, like, sometimes people ask you questions like, are there gatekeepers? Like, what's the process of getting in touch with someone? Those are all indicators that they've struggled with getting in touch with their account people before. And so making them feel at ease and from the upfront, like, we are going to give you an alias. We're going to give you Slack channel access. We're going to, you can contact anyone for real. Like, this is not us just saying this. And I think we've shown them that throughout the process of planning now that is really how we interact. But having those actual team members during the pitch process did make a difference because you want to see the product. You, especially a service oriented product, it's hard until you experience it. You don't know if it's going to work or not. And for them seeing the team, I think really did make a difference and made us stand out.
I love that. And was the team like subject matter experts?
Yes, in
Okay,
their individual roles. So it
perfect.
was, everybody was able and everyone took a turn speaking during the meeting to show their expertise in their area, whether it be reporting, whether it be the day to day running campaigns, the strategy of campaigns, the account management. Like everyone stepped up and participated and showed their passion through it, which is also critical. And I know not everyone is comfortable in meetings and pitches the same, but when you're really passionate, even if you're shy, it does kind of come through either way. And
Mhm.
so I think that helped sell it, honestly.
So you put that into the presentation where they would speak about their own personal subject matter, and then they demonstrated expertise and excellence. And
Yes.
what an amazing strategy, because not being able to reach someone, and not having that human touch and letting AI slip through the fingers, that was their biggest pain point, and how well you matched it, not just in the content but in the format of how you present
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
what were some of the cues that you got from them that it was going to be a go?
So one person at one point when we were talking through our story, um, she kind of came back at the end. So one of the decision makers came back at the end, near the end of the presentation, and she said, "You know what? I'm going to get emotional a little bit of the way you set up this company and what you're doing for people." And she said, "It's just amazing." And so I felt like they really did love us as people after.
Nice.
And they were so comfortable and kind. We got some hugs. So you always,
Wow.
feel
Wow.
like, you want to leave there and you want to high five, but you never want to jinx it. And so we did feel like we really did stand out at the end. But there were some follow up questions and things like that. And, so we answered them, but you never know until it's finalized. And they did a really good job picking a creative agency as well. And we were able to meet them and felt like they did make a really good match between the way they wanted to do things, the way we wanted to do things. And so, it still remains to be seen the performance. We haven't officially started running anything yet. We're in our planning phase, but so far so good, and we've been really happy with all of the personalities and the different folks and their ideas and how it's all kind of coming together.
So what big learning are you taking into your next RFP?
I think approaching it very similarly, and it is a challenge because sometimes you don't get to do all of those things. You don't get to go in person, and you don't really get to show who you are that way. Sometimes you are just on paper,
Yeah.
but trying to break through the clutter and find a way to build a proposal with them in any way, or show your process, or get some more insight into their pain and their challenges, and trying to find a way to give them a peek inside as much as possible and not look like everybody else. Which is, here's our executive summary, and here's, your pricing. Like, price is price, and you can lose on price any day. And it's hard. It's hard to get competitive with pricing. It becomes a war going lower and lower. And funny, if it's okay, I have another random little story, but we compete for government contracts, and we have a government contract with the U.S. Air Force, and we've been working with them for a number of years. And price is why you win a lot of times. But they love us, and they give us testimonials, and they always say how great things are. And someone came back to us and said, "Listen, we're trying to get more money because we want to run longer. So more money in your proposal." And I came back and I said, "I can't put more money, because if I put more money in the proposal, we may lose on price from like the government system. Like, it's tricky, it's fine line." And they came back and said, "We will work on the proposal with you and present it to them. We're going to do it. We're going to work on it with you because we want you to get this extra money, but we don't want like a red flag to come up and say, oh, your price jumped, and we're going to go with the low cost vendor." So price does matter, obviously, in this scenario in a lot of cases, but when you have buy-in from the team that's like, "Don't worry, the price will go up, but we're going to make sure you still get it anyway, because there's bigger value here, and there's a reason why it's selling it through."
It's trust.
Yeah.
See that the woman was going to get emotional. They gave you
Hmm.
hugs at the end. That's all trust.
Hmm.
Like, and every buy is emotional. And I tell my clients who even sell to government, and my sister's in the Canadian government, a director, and she buys services all day long. And she tells me the same thing, Chala. It's because we already know these guys and like them and
Hmm.
trust them. So the
Yeah.
whole secret is in your sales process, how can you target certain companies or organizations or even government organizations, and then how do you present to them, on a regular basis so that they get to know your work, even though they're working in the middle of a complete, like 5 year to 3 year RFP.
Yeah.
How do they get to know you, like you, trust you, and then want to, and then rewrite everything for you because they believe you truly deliver the value. And
Yeah.
to do that, you do need to, do exactly what you did perfectly. You hook them in with trust, with your personal story of why you do what you do, how you do it, and then the proof of, of telling these wonderful stories of success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
And
Wonderful. Congratulations.
thank you. And it all works when it's true, right? So it's not
Yeah.
like we go into these RFPs and we're making up stories or we're trying to gain someone's trust and then we turn around and we're not treating it that way. It has to be, that is the truth. That's the honest. We're open books. We show you, what it is, and we have loyal clients that can prove it. They're the proof. And so, as long as trust, relationships, all that is so critical. And then
Yeah.
it doesn't become work or sales because it's just honest. It's just showing, this is what it is, and this is how we interact and how we run things and what we do. And I think that's, that always, I always believe you don't need to be salesy or anything like that. Just,
Yeah.
be open to be who you are. And if you don't win, you don't win because it wasn't right for you, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. But to your point, I think part of the win rates on RFPs go up like double when the amount of RFPs you're writing go down. And the reason for that, it's not just math, it's because you're being more selective and you're
Mhm.
choosing things that for which for you are true, that there is a natural fit, 100% fit between what they're looking for in terms of their
Yeah.
pain and what you specialize in. And that's when it's a marriage made in heaven. So you're not
Mhm.
just dry writing, like you're not just throwing them out there, see what sticks. And therefore, that's when it's all on paper. That's when you haven't done the work to even meet them offline.
Mhm.
You haven't
Yeah.
like had a conversation or dialogue or a relationship. So that's when it is hard to compete against just paper and price.
Mhm.
And it's never about the price, even in the government.
Yeah. No. And that's a perfect example of how it's not.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. When they want you, they will get you. They will find a
mhm.
way to get and make sure that you're there for them. So, last words before I let you go. What advice do you have to people who are watching, who are in your position, and who are just desperate to land a multi-million-dollar RFP like you?
I always told my sales reps when you sell scared or desperate, you're never going to pick the right things. So
Uh-huh.
it's always better to be thoughtful about something and maybe say no to something and let the right opportunity come to you versus trying to force something that's not the right fit. Because winning something for a short amount of time is a lot more work and a lot less money than winning something for a long period of time. And so, just don't sell scared. Don't, it's better to find the right opportunity and focus and put your energy in that than, to your point, looking at a lot of things and just trying to just get something in because you're going to end up picking the wrong thing to bring on.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much.